Libertarianism could never work. This is part 1 of my off-the-cuff rant about libertarianism. One of the main reasons why libertarianism can never work is because capitalism, unregulated capitalism, and free market capitalism, and corporate capitalism all create perverse incentives. One of the primary reasons why we have government officials, people elected to government to represent the people, is because they are directly held accountable by the people they represent locally. This is why you notice every system in America is a chain of command where you elect people locally, from your town, from your city, to your district, to your state, and so on and so forth. All these types of representatives. If everything was done through a free market system, it would create perverse incentives whereby things would not be regulated and people will operate in a way that could actually be harmful to society. For example, libertarians advocate for things like tolls on private roads or private judges. Problem with a toll on private road is it creates a perverse incentive for people not to create good roads. Because if you have a monopoly on how many roads there are on the roads inside the environment, you could create stops where there don't need to be stops, and people will pay to get out of those stops. Like you intentionally build a road where there's a large body of water, and instead of building your road to avoid the water, you build it over like bridges and stuff, and you put poll taxes where those bridges are, like that. It's like the returns. It creates so many perverse incentives because everybody is driven by the profit margin. They say, "Oh, but people wouldn't do that because they want to make things cheaper." But people are always chasing after profit. They always have to chase after profit, and they always have to compete with each other. And one person cannot compete with the other person. They're gonna have to find creative ways to make extra money in order to keep their business afloat. And with private judges, how will you ever know that an outcome would be correct? First of all, I don't just trust the judicial system anyway, because I have a very skeptical view on the nature of truth. Truth is mostly illusory. The truth is especially not math and science. I'm talking about like truths that humans perceive as true. They are mostly a consequence of what we all agree upon to be fair, at a certain time, at a certain place, in a certain environment, with a certain culture. So I'm already skeptical about like judges working for the state to begin with. But private judges, they would be so swayed by who pays the most money or who owns what, who owns the judge, who provides the judge with the income, who allows the judge to make a living. It's like it creates so many perverse incentives, and there will be so many externalities in a completely free market society. That's why these extremist libertarians, I try to shy away from them as much as possible. There are some things that simply cannot be privatized, and roads and judges and things like that are just things that Obama used to always say, "You didn't build that road," and he's right. And roads and judges and all these other things are things that should never, ever, ever be considered to be privatized. Libertarians turn this extreme libertarianism to an idol. I think that they have some good ideas when it comes to like a free society. I agree that markets tend to work and they tend to be good. There still hasn't been a way to implement communism, but I think communism might be more applicable in the modern society with AI and automation and stuff. But libertarianism, some of it's good, some of it's bad. I think overall, the idea that we can just completely privatize everything, it would create so many contradictions and so many perverse incentives that I think it would be ultimately counterproductive for society.